Uh, Academics. Well, a little bit. When we were teenagers, being too involved in academics didn't seem like a compelling thing to do. But I did, there was a competitive thing like taking an every pupil test in Ohio history. And I got a book on Ohio history. There was no course on Ohio history. And I did read the book, and I got a second in the state on that. And that was perhaps my only academic achievement. Uh, and activities, yes. I was assistant editor of the first issue of the Marymount Warpath.
There you go.
You know, our class was the first class to go through Marymount High School. Prior to that, it had been called Plainville High School. They changed the name in around 1949 or 1950. So we were the first. The high school was always there, but they had to change the name on it. I think it still says Marymount High School. But anyhow, so that was my main activity. While the more coordinated classmates were out practicing football and basketball and track and whatnot, I was working at the Marymount Laundry, which seemed to be more suited to my skills. Laundry paid 65 cents an hour then, which was the minimum wage. And after I was there 6 months, I was raised to 75 cents an hour. This was, to be honest, this was not through meritorious performance on my part, because they raised the minimum wage level under the law. So that they were paying me as little as the law allowed. But those were my activities in high school.
Could you tell me a little bit about the warpath and...
I'm sorry?
Could you tell me a little bit about the warpath and what you
The
guys
warpath
covered?
then?
Yes.
The chief editor was, as I perhaps now, was a young woman, a year younger than I. She was a junior when I was a senior. And I think the reason she got the job and not I was based on something called the merit system, where they decide who's the best. And the merit system has haunted me all my life, because other people seem to have more of whatever that is. But Marianne, and she went on later to St. Mary's College. I think that's the sister college of Notre Dame, which was at that time an all-boys school. So I'm pleased to see that the warpath is still in existence after 69 years.
Yes.
It shows that you continuity people have done a decent job.
Yeah. So, is there when you were in high school, was there a specific faculty member that you remember that has impacted
Particular
your life?
faculty member
Yeah,
that I remember?
Yes.
Well, I'd say, Bob Martin, who was our biology teacher, went on to become principal of the school. Was a memorable teacher. He taught biology and I believe chemistry and perhaps even physics. Smaller school then. And a guy that you wouldn't remember because he died young of a heart attack, called Jack Ross, who taught English and coached the then tennis team. They were good. And of course, we all remember, even though I wasn't on his teams, Doc Kuzel, who was the physical education teacher and coach and health teacher. People had more than one job then. And the administrator of SWATs, which were a disciplinary measure,
Yes.
applied to young men who were hyperactive in the 310 study hall, but not applied to women. Gender discrimination in those days.
So, can you tell me a little bit more about what you achieved after high school, in college, later?
My activities in college?
Yes.
Ooh, well, I did some work for the campus magazine. What else did I do? Oh, I was active in the Christian Emphasis movement, which is a semi-religious young people's movement. And I was in what was called a drinking society, which you might be familiar if you followed the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh, which was an activity then enjoyed by young college people, even in his time. And that was my main activities. And trying to date girls, of course, that was an activity.
So, what got you into business and philanthropy?
What got me to what?
Into business and philanthropy?
In a position.
In business, into like the like business work that you've done in philanthropy.
Business?
Yes.
Well, I went from college at Denison. I went into the Air Force for 3 years. And when I got out of the Air Force, by then I had acquired a young wife whom I met at Denison. And she acquired a dog. So here we were with a wife and dog to support. And I thought I ought to do something to earn a living. I didn't know what I was prepared to do. So I decided I'd go on to business school, and they would perhaps enlighten me as to what I could do. So I did. And I applied to 2 schools, and one of them was Harvard Business School, which I was fairly unconfident I would get in, and to my surprise I did. So after that, I was recruited by a New York consulting firm called McKinsey & Company, and that was a very interesting 5 years. But we were in the Chicago office, which was not their strongest office, so we had to travel a lot to serve different clients to make a living. And I did. By that time, my young wife seemed to have produced this small infant and thought maybe she would produce more. So we tried to get a more stable life. So I went to Columbus, Ohio, and entered a small bank, which meant I didn't have to travel as much. They didn't have to pay me as much either, so that was the other side of it.